Alright, this is my question, to the people out there, because this has been a dilemma that I've been thinking about, and I think I could use the help of the people out there and expressing what they think is the answer to this question. Like online certification, how to do it. Specifically in regards to martial arts. Now you see how the college universities do it. You see how the government does it with driver's license, with the firearms owners identifications, things like that. But how to do it in the martial arts? Now, in my eyes, there's just so many flaws with the way these schools do it with the black belts. I just completely disagree with the way that it's going on, to the point where it's like it's abolished in the way that I teach. There's no such thing as black belts or things like that and that type of rankings. My main problem is, how do you certify anybody to be at a certain level when people are always changing? My thing is, can they represent this level not just for today, but for tomorrow and the day after, and so on and so forth, for the future? Like, somebody might have gotten to a certain level of development right now, but my issue is, if they're no longer representing that level of development a week from then, a few months from then, a few years from then there's a problem, there's an issue. The way that I view it is kind of like, you cannot certify somebody to be healthy. You can't just be like, well, this is a certified healthy person. Any certification in my eyes is just momentary. Maybe for that day you assess their development and you said that they have reached a certain level, but it doesn't mean that they're going to maintain that level of development for the future. And my thing is representing a high level, not just for now, but also for the future. And I don't know how to approach the situation. In my eyes, a black belt, for example, should only last for about a year, if not less. And people would have to recertify every single year in order for that black belt to have any significant representation of a person's level of achievement. The way that I feel certification should be is kind of like how the Chicago Marathon is. There's a Chicago Marathon every single year, and you need to run the marathon every year in order to get the medal every year. You can't just run a marathon back in 1970 and then now it's 2016 and then you're still bragging about the marathon that you completed 46 years ago. No, there's a difference between somebody who completed in 1970 compared to somebody who's completed it every single year for half of his life. So from the age of 20 until the age of 100, he's been running in marathons, and he's completed one marathon for 80 years every single year. There's a difference between that and then somebody who just runs it one time in his entire lifetime. And there's also a difference between somebody who runs a marathon every single day, who doesn't need Chicago to certify him to be somebody who runs marathons. Essentially, there could be somebody out there that runs a marathon every single day, so he's running 365 marathons in 1 year for his entire life, and he doesn't need the city of Chicago to certify him to say that he completed this marathon. So there's a difference between somebody who pays $200 to join the Chicago Marathon to run it and then get the medal, compared to somebody who just goes out there, on a regular day, runs the marathon, completes a marathon, and doesn't need a medal in order to show people that he's done it. Or he doesn't even need to tell people that he's done it. He doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. So this is where the dilemma is. Like, how could you certify somebody in anything? And also, what is the meaning behind a certification? Why certify somebody if, to me, certifying somebody is like employing somebody, where you need to certify them because there's a reason to certify them, because they're going to be using that as a credential towards their work, towards like indicating that they're capable enough in order to fulfill certain work objectives. But if there's no work available, then why certify anybody? So to me, it's like getting a driver's license. If you know how to drive, okay, that's great. You just drive. And why do you need a driver's license unless it's required? Now, if the city, if the government says you need a driver's license in order to drive lawfully, even though you can drive, you still need the driver's license in order to drive lawfully. Now that gives a reason for people to strive to get the driver's license so they can legally drive. But if the government says you don't need a driver's license in order to drive, we don't require it, then why be certified? You don't need to be certified because the law doesn't require it. Same thing with getting a firearm. If you need to get a firearms permit in order to buy a firearm, then there's a reason to get the permit. But if the government says you don't need a permit, you can just buy it, then why get certified to get a permit in the firearms? So with online certification in the martial arts, why certify somebody to be a black belt if there's no work available? Like, if you're not franchising, if you don't even have enough customers for yourself as a school owner, then why certify one of your students to be an instructor when there's not even any students to teach? When there's not even enough students to teach. I feel that certifications should be there in order to help expand the school. Like the teacher just has too many students. He has 100 students and he only has time for 50 of them. So he needs to certify one of his top students to assist in his expansion of his school. So he will certify his top student to say that this person is certified to teach because he's met up to the standards of this school. So now he's going to take 50 of the students and teach them, while the owner takes 50 of his students and teaches. So then combined, there's 100 students learning because there's an assistant that's helping the owner expand the school. That makes sense. But if there's only one student and there's one school owner, then why would a school owner need an assistant instructor to expand his school when he can't even find enough students for himself to teach? It just doesn't make sense to me. It makes sense as I stated. Say there's 5,000 people that want to learn. Now there's only one school owner. Well, he might need help, so he's gonna certify his top students. Maybe he certifies 50 of his top students, and then they all get 100 students each, and then now there's 5,000 people learning because of these 50 assistant instructors. That makes sense to me when there's a purpose behind the certification. But if there's no purpose behind the certification, you got a school owner who has 100 students, and then he certifies all 100 of them to be black belts, and then there's no other students to teach, and then you got 100 black belts standing there ready to teach, feeling that they know so much, but then there's no students. To me, that doesn't make sense. And I feel that a lot of schools out there are, in a way, overinflating certain people's egos in order to make them feel more worthy than they actually are. And that to me is a detriment to the martial arts. It creates like this sense of arrogance and this sense of superiority over the common person that doesn't have a black belt. And it loses the respect for the martial arts. Like, how could you have respect for a school that has certified 5,000 black belts? Like, how much quality can there be in a school that has certified 5,000 people to be black belts? Because even to have one true person that's representing a black belt, it's rare. So how could it possibly be 5,000 people that have black belts? I just don't see it that way. I feel that it's relative. If you got 10 people that one school and owner says are black belts, but then you got somebody like me that steps in between and says, well, out of these 10 people, who is the best? And then you choose one person, and then I'll be like, well, okay, then that one person is the black belt, and the rest of the 9 are white belts. That would be how I would do it. There's only one person that should represent that black belt, not 5,000 people, 10,000 people. Imagine if you're at the Olympics and there's an event, a 100-meter dash, and then there's 5,000 gold medalists for the 100-meter dash. Like, how is that possible? How can there be 5,000 gold medalists for that 100-meter dash? To me, it doesn't work that way. There's only one gold medalist for that 100-meter dash. That's it. There can't be 2. There can't be 3. There can't be 4. There can't be 5. There can't be 100. There can only be 1. So, in a school, there's the school owner, and there's only one school owner. And then, if there's a lot of people that want to learn and the school owner needs help, then he needs to certify somebody to help him. Otherwise, he can't expand. If he doesn't have anybody else qualified to help expand his school, then he's just going to be limited in his growth. Then he has to have a cap on how many people that he could teach. So if he can only teach 50 people, then he can't take anything more than that, because he's only has so much time. So he needs to turn some people away. So certifications, to me, are supposed to be there for one, a functional purpose, a reason behind it. For two, it needs to accurately assess a person's development ongoing. It can't just be, oh, I've attained it and then now that's it, I don't need to do anything else. No, it's got to be something that's ongoing, where you're constantly evaluating the person. So in my eyes, if there's going to be any sort of certification, it has to be, it only makes sense to make it last a year maximum, where okay, you completed this, say in my program, you completed this Tiger form up to my standards, and you have successfully completed this program, and it lasts for 1 year. So after 1 year, I can retest you, and if you cannot do it anymore, then you're no longer certified in that aspect. Part 1 of the Tiger form, for example, you have it or you don't. If you don't have it, then that's it. If you do have it, then the certification will last for 1 year. Or in my program, I could be like, here are the minimum fitness standards that you need to achieve. So 20 pull-ups, bench pressing your own weight 10 times, or say 20 times, whatever. Squatting your own weight 20 times. Okay, you certified in that, you passed it, but that only lasts for 1 year. After 1 year, if you can't do that anymore, you lose your certification. Phoenix form, part 1. Right side, left side. You could get certified in that. Okay, you completed it up to my standards. Okay, that certification will only last for 1 year. That to me is the only thing that makes sense. And right now with my students that I train directly, that's something that I do on a verbal level. Doesn't make sense for me to sign off on these certifications, create all this unnecessary paperwork for what? They're not even trying to, opening up, they're not even trying to franchise out and open up their own Freddy's Mountain Kung Fu at some other location. If they're assisting me while I'm right there. So I'll be like, help this person out with this. And I'm already right there. If they have any questions, they ask me. They're not teaching any other people when I'm not there. They're not franchising another school. So these paper online certifications really have no functional purpose. I mean, a verbal acknowledgement that, hey, you got to this level, and it's satisfactory. Now you're ready for the next level. Now we can work in the next phase. So, I mean, these are just thoughts coming through my head, and there's a lot of flaws in all certifications out there. And I'm trying to figure out, well, asking the people, what could be done to fix these flaws? So, say, the whole firearms thing, the whole gun permit. I mean, you got a lot of people that legally have guns, but then they just go nuts one day and then all of a sudden they kill a bunch of people. So just recently, there was a person in the Army that killed, 5 cops. Now there's another person in the Marines that killed 3 cops. Well, these were people that were working for the government. And then now they just started killing cops. So are they representing the Army anymore? Are they representing the Marines anymore? People change. One person's healthy one day, next day he gets bipolar, he gets schizophrenia, he gets a heart attack. He dies in a tragic accident. Like, things happen. And how can anybody be certified in anything and have any type of meaning in it when life just changes so quickly? So I'm still at a, this is still a challenge for me to figure out the right method. But as I stated, the only thing that I could come up with right now are like yearly evaluations. I do have a program that I'm setting up, curriculum, and there could be a fitness evaluation and certain exercises, like key foundational exercises that need to be completed, and certifications that are given out for people that do complete it. You know, like a basic fitness, it could be an intermediate and an advanced fitness. Has this person reached the advanced fitness level of this school? Has this person reached the intermediate fitness level of the school? Has a person reached the basic level of fitness of the school? And this certification will only last for 1 year. Okay, Tiger Form Part 1. Has this person completed Part 1 of the Tiger Form? That's satisfactory through me. Okay, lasts for 1 year. Has this person completed Part 2? Lasts for 1 year. Has this person completed Part 3? Lasts for 1 year. So on and so forth. That's the only thing that I could come up with that makes sense. Not somebody who says, well, I completed Part 1 of the Tiger Form in FMK, but I forgot it. I don't remember it anymore. I got certified back then, 5 years ago, but now I don't remember it at all. I don't know it. I'm sick of hearing that all the time from people who, oh, I used to train in martial arts, but I forgot. I don't know. I don't forgot everything. I don't know it. But I used to train in it for 10 years. But I forgot it. I'm sick of hearing that. Everybody says that. Oh, I used to be a black belt. Oh, I had a black belt when I was age 15. And I don't practice anymore. But I got a black belt. I'm sick of hearing that. Really, nobody should ever get a black belt unless they are a black belt for life. If they cannot be a black belt for life, for even 1 year, then they didn't deserve that black belt to begin with. To me, a black belt is supposed to be somebody who obtains to a certain level of development, an advanced level of development, and he never loses it. Never. The only time that it's done, his training, is when he dies. He does not stop training. The only time that he stops training is when he's dead. That's, to me, what a real black belt's supposed to be. So even though Bruce Lee didn't have black belts, and he didn't wear a black belt, and he didn't believe in all that in his art, to me he was a black belt. He got to a high level, and then he maintained that level until he died. That is what is supposed to be a black belt to me. Not somebody who gets to a high level and then just lets himself go. That to me is not a black belt. Even though I respect people like Muhammad Ali, people like Michael Jordan, people like Mike Tyson, they are not representing black belts to me. Even though they've gotten to an extremely high level, but they didn't maintain that high level till death. The only way somebody is representing a real black belt in my eyes is somebody who gets to a high level and maintains that for his entire life until he dies. So, for example, for me, if there's just even one video of me out there where I'm not representing, for example, health-wise, what a real martial artist should represent, then I'm not black belt, because I messed up for that one year, that one video, whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying I'm a black belt either, because if you assess a person's spiritual development, clearly there's a lot of people that will say, hey, this video, Sifu Freddie Lee's not being too spiritual, and he's not representing a black belt, so he's not a black belt. And there's going to be a lot of people that say that I'm not a black belt. Maybe I'm not a black belt. It's all relative. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm not at a high level. Maybe I just think that I'm at a high level, but I'm not. And part of being a black belt is being humble. You're not supposed to think that you're good. Like, genuinely, you're supposed to not think you're good. You're supposed to think that you're just like everybody else. You're not special. You're not better than anybody. But at the same time, nobody's better than you. You're just unique. You're just yourself. And I've went through some phases of this school where I experimented with the whole ranking thing, and it didn't go well at all. There's like many flaws, and it created very unhealthy egos. Some of the most unhealthy egos I've ever witnessed in my life it's created. So I had to abolish that way, and I had to come up with a new way. If there even is gonna be a new way. Because I'd rather have 5,000 people that have no belts than have 5,000 people that are falsely representing the black belt. No. Or maybe just have one person that's properly representing the black belt for his entire life. Like, one Bruce Lee is more valuable than 10,000 people that are claiming that they're black belts in Wing Chun when they are clearly beginners and novices and people that are scrubs. I'm not gonna be a part of that. Selling black belts, selling certifications for profit, when you know for a fact that these people are not representing a high level of development. I refuse to do that. I will find another way to make a living than to sell out the integrity of the martial arts for money. Now, if somebody truly has reached a high level of development, okay, fine. But will they maintain that level of development for the years to come? That becomes the difficulty in assessing that and having some reliable method of keeping this evaluation system clean from corruption. So these are the things that I want people to think about out there and come up with ideas to find a structure that is not flawed. Otherwise, it just makes sense for nobody to claim any belts, any ranks, unless it's absolutely necessary to do so for employment purposes. Because the government will not allow you to open your business until you obtain this business license. But no government says you need to be a black belt, so that's not necessary, but that you need that business license. That's what matters. If you want that gun, well, you better get that gun permit. They don't try to have a person walk into a gun store and show his black belt and be like, okay, give me a gun. No, you need that gun permit. You could take that black belt, you could throw that in the garbage because it has no meaning, no significance in this gun shop. Like, certifications only have meaning when it's actually representing something. So if a black belt is not representing a high level, then we need to get rid of it. And we need to have something else. Another thing is, if there is to be a certification system put into place, what should be the physical representation of this certification? What symbol are we going to use? So those are my questions to be evaluated.